I'm going to take you through half an hour of things about pitching, and what you will need is not right at the beginning, but later on something to write. Or some people like to write in their phone. So if you need to borrow pen, paper, now is your chance. If you want, in the worst case, maybe you can write on the program as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to create your pitch, your elevator pitch, and then you will be in groups pitching to someone, get some feedback, and everyone will be happy. Yay! Now, quick hands up if you have like a solid bulletproof elevator pitch already. Good, one. I heard yours. It was good. It's even better now, right?
But different.
Ah, nice. Good. So we worked on that. Because there is time today as well that whoever is keen can do it from here in front of everyone. How exciting is that? I probably pick one who's less keen, because that's really always like, you know, like having people who want to really start out with their speaking, you know, giving them a chance as well. Now, hands up, who's terrified of speaking? All in that corner. Interesting that you huddled in that corner. You know, what we started to do when I started, oh my Lord, I was more than terrified. I was so scared of public speaking that I honestly, seriously thought every time I stood in front of people, I was to die. I didn't, still alive, but you know, the feeling still was there with me. And that's why we just had a chat earlier. You know, this was one of the reasons why I set up Pony Express, because after I realized that there are techniques, how to deal with your nerves, grounding techniques, things that make you solid and really comfortable here on stage, that we can pass this on to everyone in the world, right? Starting with you guys. So that's the theme. Ta-da! We also have now, if you follow us on social media, we have changed our Twitter handle as well, you know, to Speaker Express, obviously. And if you want to give us a tweet or find our group on Facebook as well, there are a lot of people hanging out there, and we always look, you know, every now and then for speakers. And very often there are paid speaking gigs shared in there as well. So make sure you join us on Facebook. Now, I think the Wi-Fi here is free if you log in as guest. I totally, completely forgot to ask. So if it's not, you have to charge me for it. But I think you can easily log into the Wi-Fi. But most importantly, what I'd love you to do is pay attention, focus. You can do some social media later. And we have been going actually since 2011. Pony Express started in 2011, and since then we have worked with so many people who now travel to Athens to, you know, do pitch training with others, people who now do TEDx talks, people who have been on Dragon's Den, or gosh, what else? People who, actually one of our members is speaking here tomorrow, doing corporate gigs, and there's so many varieties when it comes to speaking, right? It's not only often like here in a small environment, but there's stages out there, 100, 1,000, 100,000 people, and they're waiting, you know, for people like you to speak up. Unless anyone here in this room selling nuclear weapons? Good, just checking. So if anyone here is evil, please leave the room, because we like to work with nice people, right? And during this time, like since 2011, what we have developed is something called the Speaker's Method. And what we do today, we're gonna, does my sexy thingy work? No, we're gonna just break a little chunk out of here, the pitching bit, because, you know, we believe that if you work on your confidence, you develop a signature talk, you really have like a sequence and a method how to get speaking gigs, you know how to sell yourself, and you have an understanding of media and visibility. That's all what it takes to be an awesome speaker. So we're going to take like a little chunk out of here, learning how to create an elevator pitch, how to sell yourself and your business. Now, quick show of hands, who runs their own business? most of you. Who is in a corporate job? Some of you. Because people often ask, like, why do I need to pitch? I have a job, or I have nothing to sell. But guess what you're selling? You sell yourself 24/7. You're broadcasting yourself. And that's really, really important, because no matter if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, or if you I don't know, like if you are in the estimating department of a lighting control company, you're selling yourself. You are always, always pitching for a pay rise, or even, I mentioned single people earlier. Guess what you do? You pitch in a bar. You pitch yourself, right? So if you want to write an elevator pitch today about how to chat someone up in a bar, trust me, can be a very similar structure to be taught. And here's what we don't go into so much today, like the whole fear, because not everyone is scared of speaking. Like, I always think, like, I've been a prime example, because for the first 2 years of running, at the time, Pony Express, I wouldn't speak. I would always be the one. I would say to my business partner, I can't speak, I'm too busy, we don't have chairs here, but I was always like straightening the chairs. I was the organizer. I needed to make sure there's water for everyone. And how can you sell yourself and a speaker business if you don't even speak? It was just really, oh my God, like if anyone heard of the imposter syndrome, I was living it for 2 years, and it was very painful. And lucky enough, he gave me a very gentle kick up the ass. And then I did my very first speaking gig at City Library, and what can I say? It was shocking, terrible. And I felt really sorry for the people in the audience, but your first experience is often the worst, and then you grow from there. And let's say if anyone here, if it's the first time for you later to do an elevator pitch in a little group, if it's not the best thing in the world, don't worry, just keep going. And that's really the most important thing, because we learn so much more by getting things wrong than, getting it right the first time. Now, I speak a lot. I sometimes speak 1 time a week. I sometimes speak 4 times a week. And whereas my husband, like he was signing people in. I don't know if you have met him. He's the one then who gets all my complaining, telling him how exhausted I am and how exhausting speaking is. It is. Like, where are my introverts? Any introverts in the room? It is not easy, right? But I always say to myself, it's much easier spending an hour in front of 30 people compared to having 30 one-to-one conversations. That's even more exhausting, right? So for all my introverts in the room, speaking is a really, really, really amazing thing to, do it once with a whole bunch, a group of people, and then you cash in, and then you do nothing, right? You just chill. So here is one of my favorite images, someone in the elevator. Now, who still doesn't know what an elevator pitch is? Hands up. Everyone knows. Okay, what's an elevator pitch? Who wants to tell me what it actually is? Yes.
If somebody was in the elevator with you and that period of time, in that period of time that you're going up in the elevator or down, you would need to tell them what you do.
Yeah.
During that time.
Cool.
That's what my understanding.
Yes. Who else?
You're explaining what problem you solve if you run your own business or if you provide service.
Yeah, in a short amount of time. It's really the answer to the question, what do you do? And it's succinct. It's not a sales pitch as such. It's really to open and to start the conversation with someone awesome. And if you look the whole meaning up of elevator pitching, if you go on Wikipedia, you can see in whenever 19 something in America, there were 2 people riding an elevator. One of them was a fashion designer, and the other guy was the editor of a Vanity Fair. And when they were riding the elevator, let's say for 90 seconds, and they really developed a connection, and then afterwards they did start doing business together. And this is why now everyone uses the term elevator pitch. Now, I don't know if it's true. Maybe it was coined in Germany. I don't know. Like, the Americans like to take credit for everything. Any Americans in the room? Oops. Okay, guys, love you. But, like, I just love stories. And that's why I think Okay, you don't have to dress up like her to get started, you know, with pitching in an elevator, but it might help, right? Here's what we don't do today. I'm not going to go into helping you to create an investment pitch. That's a complete different ball game. If you want to take a photo of that, that's more of an investment pitch structure. And it's more complex, it's more detailed, and really when it comes to pitching for investment or raising funding, at the end, you clearly want to make a big announcement, you know, of like a big pot of money. You want a big empty pot you want to have filled with money from your investor. That's very much about creating a pitch deck. It's really about going into, you know, like your proof of concept. And we're not going to go into that today. But I want to show you an example. Now, you must look up this guy. I talk about him a lot because he is really awesome. He runs a business called My Latest Free Stuff. And he got contacted by the BBC 2 years ago to come on Dragon's Den and pitch. And obviously, who has seen Dragon's Den before? They can be mean people, right? Like it sometimes feels like all they're waiting for is for a really innocent business owner to come into the den and then shred that person to pieces. So he was really thinking, like, why would I do that? Why would I want to be humiliated in front of so many people? But having a really solid pitch, it can really turn around everything in your business. And he actually went on Dragon's Den. We worked together only for a number of hours, but he put so much extra work in. I know the practice he has done. And if you Google on YouTube, like someone even named it the best pitch ever because he is solid and he's really good. And at the end of his pitch, he has 3 out of the 5 dragons actually fighting for investing in him. But what it did, the national exposure, it gave him so much traffic to his website that in the end he didn't actually need the investment because he made it work without it. So pitching is massively powerful, and it's often really underestimated, like the amount of work that goes into a pitch. You know, people often think, oh, I have an interview, or I'm pitching for a new client, I'm just going to wing it. You know, like the more you can be prepared and put in work, the better. So here's what we do. We will create your very own elevator pitch. There's step 1 already. So get your booklets out. I'm going to give you some examples. I'm going to take you through the structure. And then you will, let's see, probably in groups of 3, you will do your little pitch, get some feedback, and then we take it from there. Does anyone need anything to write? Who has something to write? A spare pen. Perfect. All worked out. Good. So step number 1, what's the problem you're solving? Now, what do I mean by that? Who wants to have an educated guess?
Filling someone's need. Filling someone's need.
Say again?
Filling someone's needs. So someone's
Oh, yeah.
problem or
Fulfilling someone's needs, yes. Good. What else? Or shout out some problems you are solving with your business, with your product, with your idea.
My business has stopped growing and I can't work out why.
Say this again.
My business has stopped growing.
Your business is stopped growing. Oh, that's the problem you're solving. Good, yes. Who else?
Anxiety, depression, I hate myself.
Okay, so you help people to become a better person internally. Right, good. So with the problem, what I mean by that is there's a big difference. I used to say when I used to go and, you know, like pitch myself, go to networking events, I would say to people, I'm a speaker trainer or I run a training company. And every time I said it, I was like, oh, putting myself asleep. And it's really so boring. And the problem I'm solving isn't training. You know, like we help people to fall in love with public speaking. We help people to get speaking gigs or to make money from speaking, right? And I think a really good way of starting your elevator pitch is with coming up with something creative. Like if it is your personality, you can even be a little bit cheeky. We had a girl once, and this is how she would start her pitch. She would say, "I touch people." Everyone would look at her thinking like, what the hell is she talking about? And then she would follow up with, "My name is Celine and I'm a massage therapist. I have magic hands, and everyone, you know, in the corporate world who feels stressed or, you know, like tight in their shoulders, I touch you and heal you." And it was really, really beautiful, and it really suited her personality, you know. You can also, if you're a bit more of a serious person, you can maybe start with a story. So now when someone asks me what I do, depending on, you know, who's in front of me, I would say something along the lines of, you know, when I had a presentation at university, they asked me to present on genetically modified tomatoes. And that's not the bad bit about it. The bad bit was me feeling so scared and anxious. For 6 weeks, my life was wasted. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't think straight. All I do, I was worried, and I was really, really replaying all these thoughts in my head, and I got so much anxiety that I actually nearly got a horrible flu and died. I didn't die, but you know, you can start drawing a story, maybe from your own experience. You know, where were you in the past? Because I think, how many of you solve like a personal problem? How many of you have now a business that was a personal problem they had themselves? Few of you. You know, stories like that, they can be very engaging. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds. So have a quick think, like how can you start? Maybe with a metaphor or really something funny. Like one of, this is not a funny example, but one of our guys, he used to use the metaphor of, with us you can ride the roller coaster of financial planning. You know, something like that, that really sparks some thoughts in the audience, okay? So I'm going to shut up for 30 seconds, have a little think, and then we go into the next step. Okay. Who has a good example? Who wants to share? I have time. Oh, I picked someone. I'm nosy, guys. You have to understand. I remember earlier when you did your, I'll let you share, but like, you know, you always defrost when you do your icebreakers and then you go back into your thinking shell. It's like, oh, I can't possibly share. Yes.
So I shift people's shit so they can truly live before they die.
I love it. Everything with swear words, like it's so up my street. Thank you. Good. So trust me, the right audience will take to that. You know, don't overcomplicate whatever you start with first, because, you know, not everyone will be your client. And this is what people often forget. Like when I started, I was so like terrified in saying what I do because I wanted everyone to like me, everyone to understand, you know, and love what we do. But trust me, it's humanly impossible. Yes.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
What do you think about cultural alignment? So people from another country, or indeed any other countries, certain hand gestures in certain countries don't mean what they mean in this country.
Totally.
And certain tones of voice and body language doesn't mean in that country what it means in this country. And I recently was watching an event where somebody came along and he positively upset the British way of life and culture by his attitude and the amount of swearing he incorporated.
Yeah.
What do you say to that?
Do you want my honest opinion?
Absolutely.
I wouldn't give a shit, because I still want people to like me, but at the end of the day, you know, maybe he was a bit over the top, I don't know, I wasn't there, but you can't make it right for everyone. Look, Donald Trump, he gets it wrong all the time, and like I hate him, and he's really doing a good job and, you know, rallying people against him. But I personally feel, just be who you are, because if I now run around think, okay, I shouldn't swear, okay, I shouldn't say this, or I shouldn't look into certain people's eyes, you know, it's a tough job, you know. So at the end of the day, the more you can bring yourself out, but do it in a graceful way. You know, I don't often swear, and actually I do. And you know why? In May, we run something called Fuck Up Night, and we're going to run it again in November. And I think this really triggered something, gave myself more permission to swear. But, you know, I think I feel it is important. If anyone has a problem, I always would say, like, you know, speak to me at the end. Like, if you are a speaker that might be offending others, and then just be really open and say, look, guys, I swear. And sometimes I say things, I make fun of Germans, I make fun of Americans. Let me know afterwards if I offended anyone, because it isn't my intention, you know. But this can be like a subject of like 4-hour discussions plus, you know, because there are so many characters out there who are so really good at offending other people, including me. Okay, so credibility. Let's go into step number 2. What do I mean by credibility? What is so important about that?
You'll earn the right, basically.
Yeah.
How you earn the right to solve whatever you will solve.
Yeah? So the credibility is very much about earning the right. It's about your expert status. It's about getting them to see how good you are, how successful you are. This is, where are my British people in the audience? This is your moment to brag. This is your moment where you can say, look, I have written 7 books and I've worked with 15,000 people. I'm bloody good at what I do, you know. Or if you look at it from the other side, like, who's very still at the beginning with their business, with their idea, their project, on their journey? If you're still very much starting out and you have not written 15 books or 50, you can say what I always used to say when I started. I would always say to people, I have more than 30 years of experience of being scared of public speaking. So you just twist it around. It's like, look, you know, I have suffered from what you're going through for so many years. I've researched and I have worked with so many different people, and now I have found the magic method, you know, that can help you at getting better as well. Okay, so have a quick think about your credibility. Have you always delivered your project on budget, or anything really you can think of that makes you look good in front of your client, but also brings out that they can trust you and that you can create results for them, right? So take 30 seconds. Okay, step number 3. That's the most simple one. How do you do it? And here, really, please keep it simple. Like, if you run workshops, if you have an app people can download with a certain link, what else? How else can people get to work with you? Book a discovery session? Ha, knew it. What else?
Book a discovery call.
Book a discovery call. What else? Yeah, okay. Here's what you do. You transfer me £1,000 and then you will earn 15 minutes of my time. Yeah, something like that. So how do you do it? Like, how do you deliver whatever results, services, or products you have for people? Okay, and I think that's probably, in my opinion, it's the most important step. Step number 4, go into either proof of concept or into helping people understand what results you create. That can be testimonials or, you know, like success stories, case studies. Very, very important, because that's really the point where people can then understand that you're not a fraud or you're not selling them snake oil, right? What I always feel is when you do the pitching in groups in a minute, if the structure doesn't flow 100%, maybe sometimes you want to have step number 4 a bit more at the beginning, you know, and you swap that for your credibility. The most important thing with an elevator pitch is it has to flow. And if it doesn't flow, you might want to jiggle the structure around a little bit. Because I really believe, you know, all these prescribed methods. Like there isn't one that fits all. What works 100% for me might not work for you. So it's really important to find your flow with your pitch. Okay?
So with the results and proof, so you're starting out or you're not quite sure.
Yeah.
Say you're changing career, for example.
Yeah.
How would you give results and proof in the new area?
So then you have to look at transferable skills. Like for example, I think, you as a lawyer, whatever you want to transfer into, there are certain skills they really transfer in other areas as well. And from a business point of view, if you're really at the beginning, you can really only speak from your own experience. And then you can say, hey, I had a few guinea pigs, my auntie, my sister, and 3 of my friends. They're still alive. They don't suffer from anxiety anymore, and they love themselves now, right? So that could be an example as well. Like at the beginning, it's really about getting that track record. That's really something you have to build. Okay, and most important step for everyone who hates selling. That's what people often forget. They go into their credibility and they tell the most amazing success stories. And then they're like, bye. The most important step is call to action. And remember what I said at the beginning. An elevator pitch isn't necessarily there to really sell to someone, but you never know. If someone heard from you before, or they have read your blogs, or they have attended some of your events, and then you meet them at a random event, maybe they're ready to buy it, you don't know. So your call to action really has to be something beautiful, something powerful that puts you, in control. So I really, 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 really have done this wrong so often. But if someone says to you, here, or if you say to someone, here, take my card, it's really the worst thing you can do to yourself. You grab theirs. And even better, if I meet someone and they're really keen, I either offer them a discounted ticket, which I can do there and then. I take their emails and I register them on my phone, or I book in a call immediately. What are some other calls of action? Don't be shy. When you share, trust me, they won't laugh. Plus, a call to action isn't really funny. It's something serious, right? So what are some other call of action? You always like talking. Come on, give me one. You're sulking today. You can, yes. Sometimes on certain websites, you can say, hey, delivery, for the month of October is free. Or you can say, within the next 24 hours, you can download this app for free if you use this code. So you just really find something that maybe creates a little sense of urgency as well, okay? Most importantly is really take their details, if you can, then you can follow up with them. But I also find you need to really develop a good nose for your ideal client. Because the last time I went networking, I ended up talking to someone who was selling fireworks for corporate events. Now, he knew who I was, he knew what I did, and he still followed up with a massive long email about how we potentially should work together. It's what the hell? Where would I really potentially ever use your fireworks? So, it's really understanding as well who's in front of you, not blurting your pitch at someone who really clearly doesn't need what you offer. Now, here's what we do. This is one of my favorite, obviously I got it off the internet, one of my favorite charts. When it comes to pitching, when it comes to starting, who works in corporate? Who's a business and who's looking for corporate clients? Isn't it a pain in the ass to get a new corporate client? Because I thought you rock up, you pitch, and they hire you. No, you have to follow up, you have to think, you have to analyze what happened, what didn't work, and you have to go again and again and again, and sometimes 12 times. And 15 years later, they finally call you back and say, hey, we're ready now to pay you money. And it's the same with pitching. There are no quick fixes. You know, it's really a process that takes time. And I really, really love that. And always remember, if someone says no to you, where's my husband? He was somewhere. He always says to me, no, it's just the starting point. Trust me, this is how he got me to marry him. I don't know how often I said, no, it's not going to happen. And there we go, we are married. So this is really helping me in my corporate work now as well to get clients. That attitude. So here's what we do. I'm not saying everyone is scared here, but at Pony Express, Speaker Express, we really believe that the sooner you can get up and speak what you just wrote, the more you learn. So really, I dare you to, let me think, let's get you up, get yourself in groups of 3. So you team up with 2 other people, and once, say hello, say your name, and then I give you more instructions. Okay, so keep your hand up if you're not in a group of 3. You are 2, 3. I love matchmaking. I'm going to be competition to you, Sarah. Right, hands up if you're not in a group of 3. Double checking. All good. Right. Here is what we do. One of the 3 of you raise your arm. One of the 3 of you, I want you to raise your arm in every group, 1 person. Okay. And if you have your arm up, I want you to point to one of the 2 and say, you go first. Ready? No one has asked me yet how long this pitch is going to be. 5 minutes. Just kidding. It's going to be 1 minute. Because people always think it's 90 seconds. I want you to be not waffly, just get to the point fast. It's going to be 1 minute, and then you will get feedback from the other 2 people. If you're listening right now, I want you to listen. And if they try to lure you into a conversation, don't answer back. The spotlight is on them for 1 minute, okay? Ready? Your time starts now. Go. And time. Give them a hand. Clearly. Like this. And feedback. So what I want you to do is, if you just spoke, you will zip it. And you will now get some feedback, 30 seconds per person. And here's what they feedback you on, all right? First of all, would they have bought? Yes or no? And then either yes or no, tell them a bit more, like what was really good or what could have been a stretch, like what would have made that pitch even better. Your feedback time starts now. Go. Okay, and time. Give them another hand. Good work. And whoever spoke, you can decide who's going to go next. So if you were the speaker, you can pick the next person to go. And if you're speaking, take a breath in. I didn't tell you before, when you spoke before, so I'm really sorry. Take a breath out. And your minute starts now. Go. And time. There was feedback, right? So you did, everyone. Just checking. Okay. Give your group a clap. And can everyone raise their right arm? Give yourself a tap on the shoulder. Speak after me. Say, I'm awesome. Anik's awesome. Works every time. Grab a seat. Say thank you to your group. How was that? Like, who wants to share? Just like 1 or 2 of you, in terms of like, what did you discover? What did you learn about yourself? what came up, what was so funny. Like these guys, I don't know what they were pitching, but they were only laughing. Yes.
I know the colloquial phrase bums on seats is actually something which people relate to.
Bums on seats. Yeah, it's a really cool phrase. It's true. I agree. And Ron? Okay, so it's clearly not clean. Maybe it's a new porn business or something he was pitching. Ha! Now I know. Okay, so look, the most important thing when it comes to pitching is, I know sometimes when you write your elevator pitch for the first time, it comes out a bit rehearsed and a bit prescribed, but really finding your groove and your flow with it. You know, that you're not like, my name is, and I'm doing this, you know, that just really you are in the flow and you're really real. And it comes from doing it as often as you can. You know, and what I find always really important is go to networking events where maybe not necessarily your target audience is in the room, if you want to have some really serious feedback on how you come across, you know, and how you pitch to people. So, so important. And I'm going to leave you with my favorite slide. I love that so much. And it a little bit relates to your question from earlier as well, like, you know, what you do, like how to be not offensive but still be yourself. No matter who you are, no matter what you do, there will always be someone who won't like you. I mean, how many people are here? 30. There will be one or two who think, oh, Anik, she's weird, her accent is stupid, I hate her, I don't know who it is, find you. But if you think about it, Mother Teresa, we all know her, you know, like she's this holy saint. But apparently, I've heard stories that apparently she was a real bitch and she wasn't always nice, you know. And if you think about whenever a president is elected, when they elected Obama, there was a number of people who didn't vote for him, you know, and he still came into power. So remember this, there's 7.3 billion people on this planet. There's no way you will ever get it right for everyone. Just go out there, swear if you have to, but be mindful as well of who's in the audience. So that was me. Thanks very much. Now it's your time to clap.